George. Wait, I'm gonna start it again. Hey there everyone, my name's Emily, this is Nath and George, and we bought a mog.
Welcome to episode 2 of the build series of Big Blue. That rhymes. In this episode, we're going to start the fabrication works on the cab.
If you haven't watched our first ep yet, I will link it below in the comments. It outlines why we decided to build a mog and what our plan is.
So I'm going to talk to you briefly about the Unimog we purchased and the model of mog that it is. So in Australia, the ADF Defence Force bought a lot of this model Unimog. So it's the most common one, which is the large frame 435 series, being a U1700L with the 3.75 metre wheelbase. So this one we've purchased came very much as it is, as you can see here, without the tray fitted. Pretty standard from the Army as it is, but you can see on the back wall here all the parts it came with. A lot of it's been blasted and powder coated guards and parts and bolts and etc. So it's going to be a bit of a job to put the kit back together again and make the pass-through here work.
All along we're going to be working really hard to get this mog ready to go.
We're both a little bit sick at the moment, but we're doing our best.
But we are super excited to bring you guys along. So right now the mog is looking a little bit bare, as you can see.
This is how we got it, unfinished. Didn't start with a standard one, bought one where someone had started, done some good stuff to it, and we just need to finish it off and get it back on the road and get going. But I guess step one is going to be getting it roadworthy, and hopefully we'll be on the road by the end of June. We're going to have this mog body prepped and painted. What else do we have to do? Get it on the road.
And get it on the road. Follow along to see how we do. It's going to be great. There's no time to be sick really, because nice. How do I zoom in on that? Look at that. Stunning backdrop. We do rock, paper, scissors to pick up the shit. Fuck. Yes! Okay, back to it. Step one for today is because the mog we bought had a roof conversion that was mostly done, we have to do a little bit of welding. And by we have to weld, I mean Nath has to weld. Edwards, what sort of welding are we doing today?
We are sorting out the pass-through that goes from the cab to the potential camping box. We have to sort it out now before we paint the cab, because we won't have anywhere to mount seals and stuff like that. So that's what we've got to do first, so we can prime the cab and have any hope of getting this thing half done. Here's the pass-through that's been put in. We need to get rid of a lot of the surface rust, oxidization from it sitting around, but also we need to weld in a lip, some steel lips, so we can put some seals on later that we can use to have a seal when we have an opening door, and also to attach a bellows system at some stage when we build a camper on the back. So this is the one of the first challenges we're going to tackle.
With the rust. Dun, 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 dun.
There's a little weld in each corner there that I'm going to have to clearance with the longer piece. That's a pretty good fit. Now that we have these pieces cut and ready to create that flange for the seal, we now need to create some little corners here so that the seal doesn't have to try and turn a sharp corner. It's got to be able to curve slowly, much like the factory, just like this, to allow the seal to turn the corner. So that's what we'll do next. See if we've got any offcuts. There's a piece of 50 by 3, that might be perfect. We'll start with that. Well, this is actually 40, not 50. 40 may still be fine. See if we have anything else. All right, 40 it is. So we're just looking to cut some 40 by 40 squares to begin with. Then we can turn them into triangles, and then we can turn them into corners. Right. Now, to anyone wondering, oh Nath, you've got a miter bandsaw. Why didn't you cut your triangles directly on the miter? Well, I forgot, all right? All right, we'll try it your way. Not bad. Well, it's a little faster doing it that way. 4 triangles. And there we have it, 4 definitely symmetrical corners. Don't look too close. Not far off, but maybe not close enough. I think we'll just tack the frame and then see if we can sit it in. We'll have a little bit of wiggle room then. So I've got all that clamped down at a right angle there. Don't tell Emily I'm welding in one of the good shirts she got me. Oh well. It's good work. Well, there we have it, the beginnings of the pass-through. See here, it's just tacked together. That should go nicely there. Just got to find its position this way. I'll have to buy a seal first to determine that.
So we've got some cute transition footage of George here, and the next few minutes of videoing you're going to see the quality has dropped significantly. We've gone back about 10 years because we dropped the camera and had to send it off to DJI to get fixed. So we've got some old GoPros that we're using, and Nate's going to jump in and talk about what he is doing with the rest of the pass-through.
Here, the back of the pass-through, it has a series of holes that were put in it for a cover plate to be bolted on. We won't be using that, so instead of leaving them, we are going to plug weld them up, but I've got to clean it up first. So I'm just going to get in there with the flat disc, clean up all the paint, and get ready to plug weld those holes so we can move forward with the pass-through. Once I get these holes plugged, it's going to be much the same process of creating the door seal section, but it's going to be with angle, and that will mean the end of the main metalwork of the pass-through. Very exciting. So finally got to the stage of final fitting this door seal lip, and I can now start repeating this process for that external lip as well. So much the same process here, making another lip for another seal, but this time we're using 25 by 25 by 3 steel angle, which will give it an offset off the back of the Unimog cab.
Okay, while Nath is doing his thing here, we want your opinion on who is at fault, i.e. the camera falling to its ultimate demise. Let me set the scene with only the facts. So we generally move the mog twice a day, move it out of the shed at the start of the day and then move it back in at the end. And I believe that the mog rear tyres are really handy and they're a useful storage space throughout the day. They're a great height and awesome to store various items, you know, you get the gist. When somebody, who will remain nameless, Nathan, decided to reverse the truck without notice, midday, our camera was launched into the air, falling to its ultimate doom. The tyres were not checked by the unnamed driver, and I guess what I'm trying to say is that I will leave it to you to decide who is at fault with this. Thank you.
Walk me through again what you're doing with the double seal.
So this seal here that we have with the side bubble, it's
Yep.
called the side bubble seal. So that allows us to build our door, which we've got all measured up to make. And that will seal on there to seal the cab off, and we'll have a nice lock up here. Separately to that, when we do build our camper, we need to be able to join the Unimog cab here to the camper box, and because they flex so separately off-road, the cab and the camper, you need to have a very flexible accordion seal, like the big rubber seals that join train carriages and similar, and trucks and things. So we're creating this edge here that we're going to weld on, which if this was the accordion seal, which we don't have yet, that's going to be able to mount there when we're ready. And if you bring the camera and have a look, that's how we create a door seal here, and the accordion seal will mount there.
Seals on seals.
Seals on seals. So these are the last few welds needed for attaching the rear pass-through lip. We're happy to get this stage finished. So here we are with the mog. A lot of it's been stripped already, a lot of parts have been removed and powder coated, which is great, but we're left with this roof conversion here, which is what we're going to start with today, and have a look at what we got to do to prepare it, get rid of any corrosion, and move to prime it as soon as possible and seal it all up.
How's it looking?
So it looks good. We've removed a lot of the surface rust there, which is awesome, in the edge of the gutter, but it's still, you know, it's flimsy here, but we've got to be able to protect it and also strengthen this. So the goal is we've borrowed a spot welder from a handheld spot welder from a panel beater. Is usually the way you would make these gutters strong. Before then, we're going to get in here with a rust converter of some sort to convert that rust so it doesn't get trapped in there and starts eating away at the metal over time. And then we'll be able to spot weld it, and we're well on our way to priming.
We bought a bunch of like industrial rust converter stuff that we would have to pop on the mog, leave it for a little bit. There's a big old procedure how to do it, but the key thing is we've got to be able to wipe it off, and just with where Nath needs to spot weld in the little gutter, we won't be able to wipe it off. So for this one we are using a little rust converter that is like a paint on and relieve. Jeez, this is a nice technique.
Almost like I've done it.
You've painted on rust conversion stuff before?
No.
Is this your first car build?
Definitely the first
Truck.
truck.
the truck. We're about to test the spot welder. I mean, now we're testing.
So we have to spot weld these gutters for the new roof, and we're just going to do a test because I borrowed this. I don't have this full time, so I'm just going to see how it works on some very similar thickness material that was ground back here. So wish us luck.
Is that it?
So I've gone pretty light there, but we'll do a few more and I'll turn it up a bit more in power. So that's quite strong. Light and spot weld. They're broke. So it looks like we need a bit more power then. A bit more power. So it's gone a bit longer there, turned it up a bit more. See a larger heat circle there. Even with one, that's plenty strong enough. I think that's just going to do a fine job on our gutter.
Nice.
Let's go.
So Nath just tried to go ahead and do that spot welding and it hasn't worked. So we have to go back with the grinder now.
So I've just removed the original paint from the underside of the gutter there to get a much better connection with the spot welder.
So the spot welds aren't working right now. Why are they not working?
But the roof kit has 4 holes along the gutter, so we're going to clamp it and use the MIG welder just to add those 4 locations for the main strength to support the gutter, and then we can spot weld the rest, which it does join, it just doesn't have the strength it would have. So I'm just knocking down the gutter here to gain access in between the Unidam roof and the OEM gutter.
So here you'll see Nath working on bringing back the gutters to that raw metal so he can go ahead and weld. And you'll see those welds that he's doing are mostly the MIG welds rather than the spot welds, even though there's a couple of spotties in there as well. But meanwhile, while Nath is doing that, I have started a little side quest here of working on the doors. So I'm just removing everything initially, ready for us to treat the doors for any rust, then prime and paint. And then the aim of the game will be to get all the car builders in there to make sure that the doors are as quiet as possible, because mogs are notoriously loud when they are driving. And as well, the G couldn't miss out on an opportunity to feature.
Guys, my job today is to jump into the bottom of the roof here and remove everything that I can so that it can come off nice and easily, ready for us to sand and get rid of all of the rust, which will be exciting.
And lower.
Lower? Ah, nice. It's not that rough.
Hello there. I've been informed that possibly there was some portrait orientation editing happening, so you may have already seen not horizontal, landscape, not landscape footage, which is apparently what I was meant to be doing. So I've done a bunch of recording, which head editor and chief Emily is not stoked with. But anyway, well.
Thanks so much for tuning in, everyone. Stay tuned for next week's ep, where we'll be jumping in and checking out the rust inside the original mog body. There is a little bit more than we anticipated. We did stuff up our walkthrough this week slightly, so stay tuned for next, where we will be fixing that. And we're doing a whole bunch of de-vinyling and sanding the cab. I swear, this refurb work is literally non-stop sanding, hey. Anyway, if you enjoyed this week's episode, like and subscribe, and look forward to seeing you on the next one. Thanks, everyone.